Kato. So in this video, I'm going to show on how I answer those questions here on exercises number 1. So it is first exercise on research methods in statistics and information technology subject. So first is identify the population and the sample on each item. So number 1 question, a survey of 1,503 US adults found that 78% for government policies requiring better fuel efficiency for the vehicle. So the population here is 1,503 US adults, because populations means is a collection of all outcomes, responses, measurements, or counts that are of interest. And the sample is 1,172.34, because a sample is just a subset or a part of a population. So I got this sample by multiplying the 1,503 into a 78%, means 78% of 1,503. So it is multiplied 1,503 by 0.78, so that I get 1,172.34. So the next question, 38 nurses working in San Francisco area were surveyed concerning their opinions of managed healthcare. So the populations is all nurses in San Francisco area, and the sample is option of 38 nurses were surveyed. And the next is a survey of 2,311 US adults found that 84% have seen a healthcare provider at least once in past year. So the population is 2,311 US adults, and the sample is 1,941 have seen a healthcare provider at least once in the past year, or 84% of 2,311. And the last question for number 1 is a survey of 168 US adults ages 25 to 29 found that 76% have read a book in the past 12 months. So the population is 186 US adults, and the sample is 141.36 US adults ages from 25 to 29 have read a book in the past 12. So second phase is determine whether the numerical value is parameter or statistic. Number 5 question. In 2012, Major League Basketball teams spent a total of 2,940,000,000 and 657,192 billion dollars on players' salary. So my answer here is a parameter, because a parameter is a description of a population characteristics. And number 6, my answer also is a parameter. And the question is, in a survey of 1,000 US adults, 65% plan to be awake at midnight to ring in the new year. So also my answer here is a parameter, because I think it is a numerical description of a population. And number 7, in a recent study of math majors at a university, 10 students were minoring in physics. So my answer is statistic, because when we say statistic, it is a numerical description of a sample characteristic. The 9, which part of a survey described in exercise 3 represents a descriptive branch of statistics. Make an inference based on the result of a survey. So, the question here, an example or an exercise number 3 is, so determine which part of study represents a descriptive branch of statistics and what conclusions might be drawn from study. A large sample of men age 48 was studied for 18 years. For unmarried men, approximately 70% were alive at the age of 65. For a married man, is 90% were alive at age of 65. So my answer here is a statistic because they are just getting a sample here. So the numerical value here is a sample characteristic. And on exercise 4 is also my answer is a statistics because I think it is also a numerical value of a sample. So on page 3 of this exercise is to determine whether the data are qualitative or quantitative. So, qualitative data, it consists of attributes, levels, or non-numerical entries. So, it is defining the quality of the data and or in a statistics. And a quantitative, the data consists of a numerical measurements or counts. So it contains a numerical value of numerical measurements of the data set. So the ages of the sample 350 employees of a software company. So my answer is quantitative because it is defining the numbers of employee. And on number 2, the zip codes of a sample 200 customers at a sporting goods store. So they are defining the zip code, and I think that is a quantitative. And number 13, the revenue of a companies on the Fortune 500 list. So that is a qualitative because they are talking the revenues of a companies. And on number 14, the marital status of all professional golfers. So they are not talking about the numbers, but a marital or a status of a professional golfers. So that is a quality or qualitative. And on number 15, also my answer is qualitative. And the final score on a video game. So here defining the highest or the highest score given on a final game. So that is a quality or qualitative. So on fourth page of this exercise is to identify which of these types of sample is using random, systematic, convenience, stratified, or cluster. So the author was surveyed a sample of from a population of this statistic class by identifying groups of random of females, then randomly selecting 5 students from each of those groups. My answer is random because each member of this population has an equal chance of being selected. And number 17, satellites are used to collect sample data for estimating deforestation deforestation rates. The Forest Resources Assessment of a United Nations or UN Food and Agriculture Organization uses a method of selecting a sample of 10-kilometer wide square at every one intersection of latitude and longitude. So my answer is a systematic because it is subdivided the population into at least two different subgroups. And the subject within the same subgroup share the same characteristics. And then draw a sample from each subgroup. So that is a systematic. And then the last one, here on the page 4, is a student of the author conducted a survey on driving habits by randomly selecting 3 different classes and surveying all of the students as they left those classes. My answer is stratified here because it is subdivided the population into at least two different subgroups or data so that the subject within the same group or subgroup share the same characteristics, and then draw a sample from each group. So that is stratified. And by the way, the systematic sampling, it selects some starting points, then select every uh, like the 10th or 50th on the element in the population. So that is systematic. So that's why number 17, my answer is a systematic. On a pace is to determine whether the study is experiment or observational. So medical research tested for difference in systolic blood pressure levels between male and female students who are 12 years of age. She randomly selected 4 males and 4 females of her study. So my answer is experimental because experimental defined as we apply some treatment and then proceed to the observe its effect on the subject. So they apply a treatment which is a medical research tested of differences like pressure of blood pressure levels of the male and female students between male and female students who are 12 years of age. And on the last question is, a researcher for a consortium of insurance companies plan to test for the effect of drinking on driving ability by randomly selecting 1,000 drivers and then randomly assigning them to two groups. So one group of 500 will drive in New York City after no alcohol consumption, and then the second group will drive in New York City after consuming 3 shots of Jim Beam Bourbon whiskey. So that is an observational because the researchers observed the 1,000 drivers if they on how they will drive without alcohol and with consuming 3 shots of alcohol. So that is, for me, that is an observational. So that's all for this video. So that's how I in my perception or my understanding on those questions for the first topic. Thank you.